calling Monarch Community Support Line.
This just in, there have been a number of Titan sightings today all over the globe.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Godzilla and Kong Supernova just dropped a teaser trailer. It's the sequel to Godzilla and Kong coming out in 2027. Next big MonsterVerse movie. They said that they would just continue making the MonsterVerse movies for as long as they make money. So they'll make them to the heat death of the universe, Marvel, DC style, forever if they can. As the name Supernova implies, sounds space-themed. It sounds like there'll be another space-based Titan that they're introducing from the lore, or multiple Titans since the movies tend to have multiple villains, multiple big characters. There have already been a ton of theories about what this means just based on the major space-based kaiju from the old Toho films, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Finally have an excuse to break out my Godzilla toy my nieces got me for a video, but pretty good guess is that Space Godzilla is going to wind up being the next big villain. The director Adam Wingard said that if he was going to do a third movie, it would be more Godzilla focused anyway, and the last movie was very Kong focused. So I do think Space Godzilla is probably the likely bet. And even though they obviously don't talk about it during this teaser here, it's mostly about the next big movie. Monarch Season 2 already finished filming, and they'll be releasing it either later this year or early next year. So they are continuing the Monarch TV series too, which is meant to connect with all the MonsterVerse movies like Godzilla and Kong, and now Godzilla and Kong Supernova. First big thing in the teaser, this is supposed to be inside one of Monarch's listening stations. They pick up a signal from Sedona, Arizona. Now notice the Monarch employee, also feel kind of bad for them. Seems like they're going to have a real problem here pretty soon. But you notice when the camera zooms in on their desk, they have a Godzilla Funko toy, a chicken, a mug, there's like a snake toy in the background here too, a mug that says Keep Kong and Carry On with a Monarch logo. They've also got their computer password on a sticky note on their monitor. If you work in a big office like this, do not do this, please. This is not secure at all. Like, do not put your password right up where anybody else can see it when they walk by your desk. Especially if you work for a giant worldwide organization that monitors and tries to control Titans.
You got a working theory?
Yeah, telepathic alien language.
On our chat screens, it says follow up on Trapper from Godzilla and Kong. We just saw him. He's coming back in this next Supernova movie. Andrews for Eileen Andrews, who went off at the end of Godzilla and Kong to continue her studies, studying Kong with Gia. Seems like her work would see her continuing to study the Hollow Earth just because it's so much untouched territory in terms of the MonsterVerse movies, like they're just pushing into Hollow Earth stuff. Helen Hampton, who was the director of Monarch during Godzilla and Kong. Rick Stanton, who's the character from Godzilla King of the Monsters. Then there's a relatively new character, Jay Jorgensen, who's a Monarch operative who appears in 2 stories in the graphic novel MonsterVerse Declassified. Her last big mission was studying Teamup during the events of Godzilla and Kong. Then it seems like she's got a big chat window with a chat she's doing with a character called Ryan. Not really sure who that's going to wind up being. Zoom and enhance on the different parts of her desktop. There's a folder that says Unknown Titan. That could just be a teaser for this new space-based Titan or another one they discover, because most of the MonsterVerse movies tend to have multiple new Titans that they introduce. But because the alert goes off in Sedona, Arizona, you probably remember Scylla previously was awakened in Sedona by Ghidorah during Godzilla King of the Monsters. She wound up attacking Phoenix before they pacified her using the Orca, and like the other Titans at the end of that movie, came to Boston and then were pacified again by Godzilla, who reasserted dominance over the surface Titans. So when the alert of the Titan sighting comes up, it could just be for Scylla reasserting herself for some reason in the movie, maybe something to do with the space-based Titan coming in. Arizona was also featured during the Toho movie Godzilla Final Wars with the Zillion race who launched worldwide kaiju attacks in secret. One of them was in the Arizona desert. All the Toho movies have a lot of space-based Titans, but they're typically controlled by or created by different space-based villains, other alien groups that are just around trying to destroy the Earth. They haven't really broached that idea inside the MonsterVerse movies, only the idea that there are Titans who have come from outer space like King Ghidorah, like that's already canon inside the MonsterVerse movies. They haven't really got into the idea of alien races that are trying to harm Earth by sending Titans to Earth. King of the Monsters never really addresses how Ghidorah, or like why Ghidorah came to Earth. But then the title Supernova flashes with what looks like energy from space, like the sun, coming out of the title in waves, and you hear Godzilla's roar in the background. If you haven't seen that Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla movie, the title here with the way that the energy flows out of the title itself is a direct comp to the title in Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. I think just confirming probably that it is Space Godzilla in the movie. Starting to get into celestial mechanics, space-based lore inside the MonsterVerse movies, supernova is when a star explodes, creating a massive explosion, destroying galaxies even. It's the last stage of evolution in a star where it either collapses into a neutron star, a black hole, or is completely destroyed, which is what most people think of when they think of supernova, forming what's referred to as a diffuse nebula. Now, because they're using this in the context of a big Titan MonsterVerse movie, Godzilla Kong Supernova title I think is meant to imply that a space-based kaiju is coming to Earth again, threatening to destroy it, and Godzilla and Kong just have to team up to stop it again, or them, assuming that there's multiple Titans. It's possible it's another King Ghidorah type situation where like another very powerful Titan comes from outer space and tries to assert dominance over other Titans on Earth and turn them against Godzilla and Kong. So after the events of Godzilla and Kong, Godzilla goes back to the surface and is ruling the Titans on the surface world like Godzilla king of monsters, but on the surface. Kong is now king of the apes again and king of the Titans in the Hollow Earth. The only other king you could introduce in the movie is a king from outer space, like go up one level into space. Now, overwhelmingly, everybody seems to think that this means it's going to be Space Godzilla, just because there are a number of Toho-based, space-based characters. Like, now watch it be Gigan or like Destoroyah or like some other big character, but I don't know if they go to Destoroyah so fast, and there are a couple competing origin stories for Destoroyah. If we're just talking about this current line of Warner Brothers legendary MonsterVerse movies, Destoroyah would be like the Thanos Avengers Endgame villain of their current line of movies. But it does seem like they're trying to escalate things with each of the movies, like the consequences of each previous movie directly leads to the creation of or the next big Titan villain. So they are kind of taking the Avengers Marvel tactic with it. Like now we're headed for Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars, like things are sort of spilling up with the consequences of the previous Avengers movies. But I would be very surprised if they go straight to Destoroyah. I think they're saving that for like way off in the future. Like if they ever know that they're going to end their time making Titan movies or MonsterVerse movies, then they would probably try for Destoroyah. So that's why most people are just going to Space Godzilla. Like if we're going space villains, like let's just start with like the real popular, real big ones first. Previously in the lore, Space Godzilla is just a genetically cloned brother of Godzilla following the invasion of the Cryogs and the Trilopods. He was more of a space-based clone of Godzilla though. Like I said, there is Gigan, a cybernetic dinosaur once controlled by the M-Space Hunter Nebula aliens before being freed following their destruction during the 1,000-Year War. This is all based off the lore of the previous movies. The MonsterVerse movies, when they do stuff from previous movies, don't always adapt all the extra lore too, like they always do their own version of the characters. Just like with King Ghidorah, like they never really pushed into why he wound up coming to Earth, like what were the circumstances that brought him to Earth in the first place. Mostly because I think they're just saving that for future movies based on stuff that they want to do, like concepts that they don't need to get into in particular in the earlier movies. Like we can just save this for a later movie and deal with it then. What's happening in space? Previously, they were more concerned with the Hollow Earth. So honestly, if you just think about it in context, like where they're at with these movies, I think Space Godzilla is probably the best guess right now. In the original Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla movie, his origin was that he began as G-cells falling through a black hole, re-emerging from a white hole, and starting to assimilate crystalline organisms, rapidly evolving with the final result being Space Godzilla. During that movie, there are a couple of different ideas they come up with for the origin of those G-cells. Like, they believe that Mothra brought the G-cells into space after her battle with Batra in a previous movie. Some believe that Bioante's spores flew into space, and some were responsible for the creation of Space Godzilla. So there's just a couple competing ideas for what actually led to the creation of Space Godzilla. Because the MonsterVerse villains in these newer movies all typically are connected to the events of previous movies, like the consequences of previous movies, as is the case with Mechagodzilla, for instance, coming from King Ghidorah. It's likely that this brand new space-based Titan, if it is Space Godzilla, is either created by or brought to Earth as a result of the battle during Godzilla and Kong with Shimo and Skar King. Early theory, something during their fight affects space in some way. I don't know if they're going to go the route with the G-cells evolving into another Titan, if a black hole will be involved, or it'll have something to do with the portal between the hollow Earth and the surface world. Just because it gets real crazy in the transition when they're traveling to the surface world, maybe that has something to do with it. There's a lot of warping of time and space going on in there, just a lot of territory for them to mine for story. There are a couple returning actors coming back and a couple of new ones that are joining the movie. Dan Stevens is back as his Trapper character from Godzilla and Kong. Sam Neill from the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movies now coming back is a totally new character. They haven't revealed who he's playing, but trading his dinosaurs for even larger titans. Caitlin Dever seems like she's going to be one of the new main characters, replacing Eileen Andrews in that sort of role in the movie. She's playing Abby on The Last of Us Season 2 right now, like I'm literally in the middle of doing those episode videos. Matthew Modine, who's been in a billion different things, more recently Stranger Things, is going to be playing a U.S. Army general. Jack O'Connell is joining, but they didn't say who he's playing. Delroy Lindo is playing one of the people running Monarch, and Alicia Debnam Carey from Fear the Walking Dead is another new character, but they didn't say who she's playing either. And a couple of big questions that they don't really answer so far, like is Gia coming back again? What's happening with Eileen Andrews right now? But like they explained at the end of Godzilla and Kong, Kong is now ruling over the Titans in Hollow Earth, and he's the king of his people again. Pretty easy assumption to make that he will rally some of them against this new space-based villain, or it could just wind up being Godzilla and Kong tag-teaming 2 or 3 other Titans. But if we're talking about escalation, and he became king of his people, why wouldn't he also use some of his people to fight against the new villain? But because this is just the first teaser trailer, we'll probably see something bigger at the end of the year. So everybody post all your reactions in the comments below. And if there's any other Easter eggs or references you think you spotted in the background of this that I didn't talk about in the video, just write it below in the comments. There was also a big Peacemaker Season 2 trailer with a whole bunch of Superman and Green Lantern stuff in it, so I'll try to do a video for that as fast as possible too. Everybody click here for all my Godzilla and Kong Monsterverse videos, and click here for my full Thunderbolts breakdown Easter eggs from the entire movie. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.